The promise was simple, a shortcut through the sprawling, ancient Oakwood Park to get to a party on the other side. For me, Alex, and my friends, Mark and Chloe, it was a decision that would sever our lives into a before and an after. We'd heard the local legends. Of course, the usual teen gossip about a park ranger who'd gone mad decades ago and still wandered the woods. We laughed it off. Our laughter died the moment we stepped past the tree line and the world went silent. The change was instantaneous. The distant city sounds vanished, replaced by a heavy, suffocating silence. The air grew cold and still, and the path behind us seemed to dissolve into a wall of impenetrable shadow. Our phone screens flickered and died, their batteries draining to zero in a heartbeat. A deep primal fear, one we didn't know we possessed, told us we were not welcome here. We were being watched. And then we saw the first one. Tied to a low-hanging branch was a child's teddy bear, but its head was twisted completely backwards, and its eyes had been replaced with sharp, dark stones. A warning we were already... We pressed on, our bravado replaced by a trembling urgency. That's when we heard it a low, rhythmic thump. Thump. Thump like a heavy sack being dragged over roots and dirt. It was getting closer. We broke into a run, crashing through undergrowth, no longer caring about direction, only distance. We burst into a small clearing, and there he was. The stories got his name wrong. It wasn't a ranger. He was tall and gaunt, dressed in rotting, dark rags that might have once been a uniform. His face was hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat, but from the shadows beneath it, we could see his smile a wide, impossibly long grin of stained, needle-like teeth. In one hand, he dragged a heavy burlap sack, the source of the terrible thumping sound. In the other, he held a long, rusted hook. He didn't chase us. He simply turned his head and pointed the hook down a specific path, his grin widening. The message was clear: run that way. I enjoy the hunt. We ran, sobbing now, our lungs on fire. The dragging sound followed. Never speeding up, never falling behind, always just there, hurting us. We found a crumbling old public restroom, a concrete block half swallowed by vines, and barricaded ourselves inside the men's room, pushing a rusty sink against the door, huddled together in the pitch black, listening. The dragging sound stopped. We heard the scratch of the hook slowly, gently, tracing the outline of the door. Then a wet, guttural voice whispered through the keyhole. Little pigs, let me in. We held our breath, trembling. For a moment, there was only silence. Then a violent, thunderous bang shook the door. The metal hinge screamed. Again. Bang. The wood around the lock splintered. With a final, sickening crack, the door exploded inward. Moonlight streamed into the doorway, illuminating his silhouette. The hook glinted. Mark, in a burst of foolhardy bravery, charged him with a scream. There was a wet, tearing sound, and Mark's scream was cut off into a sickening gurgle. Chloe and I didn't wait. We scrambled out through a broken window, the sound of that terrible, grinning thing dragging its new prize into the shadows echoing behind us. We never found Mark. The police search found nothing. No sack, no hook, no body. They said he probably ran off, got lost, fell in a ravine. They didn't believe our story. How could they? We barely believed it ourselves. But a month later, a package arrived at my door. No return address. Inside, wrapped in stained burlap, was Mark's phone. The screen was cracked, but it still had a charge. There was only one thing on it, a video. I pressed play. The footage was shaky, filmed in the dark, but it showed the inside of that concrete bathroom. It was, from Mark's perspective, his frantic breathing loud on the audio. The camera panned to the shattered doorway, where the thing stood, its grin visible even in the gloom. But it wasn't looking at Mark. It was looking directly, knowingly, into the lens of the phone. It slowly raised a long, bony finger and pointed not at Mark, but at the camera. At me. And then the video cut off. I live in a different city now, but I never feel safe. Because last night, I took my dog for a walk in my local park. He stopped, his fur bristling, and let out a low growl. From a bench in the shadows, I heard a familiar, soft, rhythmic sound. Thump, and leaning against that bench, catching the moonlight, was the glint of a long, rusted hook. The hunt didn't end in Oakwood Park. It just found a new trail. And it's here.